Breitbart is now reporting that the very fake news scandal is consuming CNN as Jeff Zucker, network Flack, refused to comment on Russia's retraction to its own network. So, for those who don't know, basically what happened, you had CNN, they put out a story, and they said that there were some Trump officials who were being investigated for having Russian financial ties. You know, it just seemed like the standard CNN hit piece, right? It seems very standard, but apparently, it was so fake that even CNN had to retract the story and put out a public apology. But now, there is a whole bunch of chaos going on at the network, because apparently, basically, they're being very secretive about what they're going to do moving forward about their Russia coverage, and it's been a long time coming. I mean, CNN, they were going to get caught eventually, because this was the same network that pushed out the dossier from the campaign. They said, oh, we have an intelligence dossier on Trump and Russia. And you know what it was? It was a Hillary campaign talking point memo. And it was made by a guy who was apparently so dumb that he had basic grammatical and geographical errors in the so-called dossier. And the dossier was so ridiculous that not even Hillary Clinton spoke about it. I mean, Hillary came out there and she said, oh, Trump is a Putin puppet, he's a Russian agent, and he's alt-right, and, you know, the 4chan and Pepe are going to take over the world. And even she wouldn't even say, you know, the dossier, like, oh yeah, there was a pee tape. Trump was caught getting peed on by Russian hookers on camera, and Putin has the video. Even she wouldn't say that. But CNN, they did. CNN said it. CNN, they put out the story. And it was that was like the fakest thing they've ever done. And now they were caught with this hit piece, and there's a big backlash. So, let's get into the article now. So it says here, excuse me. It says here, the scandal surrounding CNN's mishandling of a very fake news hit piece on President Donald Trump and his associates grew bigger on Sunday night as the network's president Jeff Zucker and PR team and the public relations team is refusing to comment to anyone, even to CNN media reporter Brian Stelter, about what happened. So this is now pretty serious, that you have the president and the PR team refusing to even tell their own people about what their plan is going forward. So there were reports that they were going to be more careful with their how they handle the Russia story and anything regarding Russia. But now, as it turns out, that we don't really know what they're going to do, because Jeff Zucker is being very quiet. That's sketchy. That's very suspicious. So it says here, Stelter, in his Sunday evening newsletter named for the television program he hosts Reliable Sources, credited a Breitbart news investigation with forcing what he admitted is an embarrassing retraction for his employer, CNN. So, Stelter is saying that this is an embarrassing moment for CNN, and he's trying to get a comment from his boss and his PR team, and they're totally silent. That's odd, okay. I mean, it's very strange. I don't really know what's going on, but who knows. It says here, that losing Stelter as a public defender for now is a huge moral loss for the network. as this scandal grows bigger and casts a wider net internally. His voice joins others, like Breitbart News and BuzzFeed News, very shocking, in calling CNN's public PR team to answer to questions about the matter. As more in the media become aware of the scandal and get involved in covering it as well, especially now that the weekend is over and is not getting any better, insiders at CNN worry that this is spiraling out of control quickly. So this is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So they're trying to figure out. By the way, Breitbart and BuzzFeed seems like an unlikely duo. But this just goes to show how serious it is. Because even BuzzFeed is a pretty, really left-wing, not even really like a news outlet. Like, they want to be a news outlet, but they also publish, like, quizzes and YouTube videos about people drinking, like, cocktails and stuff like that. So they want to be news, but they're not really. But even BuzzFeed, who was, like, so far left, even BuzzFeed is saying, like, yeah, you know what, we're going to look into this because it's actually kind of, like, suspicious. So BuzzFeed and Breitbart, that is a strange combination. The dynamic duo, the unlikely duo of BuzzFeed and Breitbart are now looking into CNN. And they thought that it would be over by the weekend. The weekend is over, and it's still going on. So it's getting more and more serious by the day. It also says here that others in the media, including ex-CNN anchors and reporters like Howie Kurtz and Ed Henry, both of them are now at Fox News, have criticized CNN for Acosta's and Stelter's and others over-the-top reactions to the White House decision. Spicer himself, in an interview with Kurtz, said that Acosta's silly games are sad. But I'm not really sure what they're speaking of, but it does seem that there's a whole lot of internal drama going on at BuzzFeed, and Acosta, by the way, is the one who got called very fake news by Donald Trump at the press conference a while ago. So we just have a whole bunch of infighting, and it's just, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going in the article, and then we'll get to my take. So, this crisis represents one of the biggest the network has ever faced. Late last week, it was forced to retract the very fake news hit piece it ran on President Trump and his associates, Anthony Scaramucci and Steven Schwartzman. I think that's how you pronounce it. Nope, gotta pop up. The piece inaccurately alleged that Scaramucci, I believe that's how you say it. I apologize if I'm wrong, and Schwartzman were under investigation by the Senate Intelligence Committee and the Treasury Department for supposed ties to what is actually a completely normal Russian investment fund. It turns out that not only is the Senate Intelligence Committee not investigating the matter, as Breitbart News discovered from sources close to the Senate GOP leadership, but the Treasury Department looked into the matter and determined that unfounded allegations that originated with far left-wing Senator Elizabeth Warren to be without merit. So, what's going on here? So, CNN reported that these two people were being investigated by the Senate Intel Committee and the Treasury Department for having a Russian fund. But it turns out that it's actually a completely normal fund, not a corrupt, no corrupt dealings with Russia are taking place. It's completely normal. And the Senate Intel Committee is not even investigating it, so that was totally just a lie. And the Treasury Department looked into it, but they determined that the allegations were without merit, and they actually came from Elizabeth Warren, of all people. So here we have a big scandal. People are now accusing Warren and CNN of sort of colluding to put this story on their network. People are saying that Warren basically pressured CNN to report on this because she was the one who made the claims. By the way, how hilarious. People on the left, they say, oh, Elizabeth Warren is so progressive, and she doesn't get involved in all these petty issues like all the other Democrats do. Here she is pushing fake news about Russia on CNN. So, totally embarrassing. By the way, I mean, very predictable too. I mean, CNN, it was inevitable that they would be caught pushing fake news one of these days. And now it's happened. And now we have the dynamic duo of BuzzFeed and Breitbart looking into it. So I'm not gonna say too much. I'm gonna stop right now because I just want to look in. I want to let the investigation take place, and I want to let it happen before I say anything further. But just like with Bernie Sanders, if this does turn out to be true, that they are corrupt, I would not be shocked whatsoever.